Welcome to Heroes Rising, hosted by Sifu Raphael, a master instructor, public speaker, and the founder of Speaking Prowess. Known for his expertise in empowering individuals through the art of communication and leadership. Alongside him is co-host Jose Escobar, an acclaimed personal development speaker, 18-time published author, and founder of 2 thriving businesses, including the Connected Leaders Academy. Together, they bring you dynamic conversations with world-class entrepreneurs, industry icons, and visionaries. Heroes Rising is your go-to source for wisdom, motivation, and unstoppable growth. Join us and discover the hero within you.
Well, good afternoon. My gosh, Sandy, Yvonne, I am so blessed to have you guys here on a Friday. Right? It's our last show of the year, and you guys are here. Thank you so much for making the time. Appreciate you.
Awesome. Love to be
Thank
here.
you for having us.
Yeah. So, mindset, under pressure. Oof. Can we talk about that? Would that be okay?
Yeah.
Who's first? Who's up?
Yvonne, let's hear it.
So I want to go beyond mindset. I want to go deeper than mindset. Like mindset, people use that word a lot. It's kind of like self-love. It's like overused and not very understood. Your mind has different parts. And instead of saying mindset, I want us to think about the way that we are created and automatically programmed so that we survive. Because when there's pressure, parts of us that are designed for survival are going to kick in automatically without you choosing it, right? So I'll throw out a couple things you can go Google later. The parasympathetic nervous system, right? When that kicks on, you get to like be creative, to rest, to digest, to grow. Pressure, your body says, kick on the sympathetic nervous system. I'm either going to fight, I'm going to flee, or I'm going to play dead. Every single one of us, every single human being, I don't care what you think your mindset is, you don't choose that. That's automatic. That's how you are created. And that's not a bad thing. That's why we're still alive. The challenge is when you get stuck thinking you have to either run, fight, or bite hard, right? Like things go to your jaw, right? Or play dead. So when you're under pressure in our modern society, unless you're an MMA fighter, is it ever useful to run really fast, bite or fight really hard, or play dead? Do any of you guys use that strategy? Anyone? Bueller? No, nobody does, right?
Bueller.
It's not going to work. You might get thrown in jail if you do, right? So when you're under pressure, I want you to understand deeper than your mindset. I want you to understand your autonomic nervous system and what is going to happen automatically if you don't consciously choose something else. So if running, fighting, or playing dead is not useful for the type of pressure that you experience in your life, and I would argue it probably isn't at home or at work unless you're in mortal danger, then I need you to bring to a conscious awareness that there is no lion, that you are not in danger, that those things are not good strategies, and shift into your parasympathetic nervous system so that your mind is set. Get it? Mindset. Your mind is set on innovation, on creativity, on wisdom by choice. That's when you're going to be your best self, whether you're under pressure or not. You need to understand how your mind, body, and spirit was designed by your creator, regardless of what mindset course you take. I'll leave it at that for now.
Wow, I love that. Sandy, if you could do me a favor, go into the settings and edit your mic settings because there's reverb coming back, and just click on echo cancellation. I'd appreciate that. Welcome, Jose. Jose was in. Jose is, and he said it 1,000 times. I'm just going to say it for him. He's a bullet train. So he comes in, he shares his knowledge, and then he's on to the next one. But I'm so happy that you're here with us now, Jose.
Yeah, thanks.
Is that better?
Go ahead.
Is that better, Sifu? Like, I actually don't have a microphone plugged in right now.
Okay, so if when Jose talks, because your mic is, if I hear echo, then I'll let you know. So that
Right.
we'll
So let
find out.
me test it out. So can you hear an echo in the background? I think so. No,
Yes,
I can hear myself in the background.
yes. So Sandy, are you able to plug a microphone in or something? Now you're muted. So go ahead until we settle that in, Jose.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say that I was on a call just now, a fantastic call, and I was like, the clock was ticking down to 1 o'clock, and I made it. So here we are. So I'm excited to be with you guys. Nice to meet you, Yvonne, and Sandy. I think this is our second encounter. I remember Mental Edge Hockey. So we had a great conversation maybe a year and a half ago or 2 years ago, whatever it was. But and Sifu, it's great to see you round two today. In the same day. I saw you in another event that you were just speaking at, Emilio Roman's event. So excited to be here. Happy Friday. I love the topic, mindset under pressure, which is the best way of how I operate, which is interesting. Everybody operates differently. Everybody has a different preference of how they show up. For me, I realized about myself, which is, over time I'm shifting it, but I operate best under pressure in my mind, because I realized when my back's not against the wall, I don't show up the same way. When there's pressure, man, anything is possible. I just show up so differently. It's insane. So for me, I love pressure. Pressure is my buddy. Some people can crumble under it. Some people can turn manic and angry and depressed and anxious and all the different things that are out there. For me, I kind of enjoy it.
Love it, love it. So Sandy, I'm going to unmute you. Whoop. You might have to unmute yourself at this point. What are your thoughts? Are you able to? I can't unmute you. Okay, so while we figure this out, I agree with pressure because in order for me to get a deep clean, you need pressure, especially with water, right? So you need pressure, you need sand, you need the power behind something to get something done. So the pressure for me is also a way of seeing something moving, right? You can't build a muscle without the pressure. You can't without the resistance too, right? So if you have no resistance, you might as well not lift any weights, right? So for me, pressure is really important. And when Yvonne said mindset, it's overused, the word, you're right, it is overused. But we still have to help people understand that mindset is how we establish the way we set our mind. And you even said it in a way, mindset. And I believe that every time that we set our mind to do something out of our comfort level, and we go through it anyway, where we didn't believe it was going to happen, and it happens, it kind of shifts who we become as we're doing it. So I just thought I'd share that as well.
I invite you guys to open the aperture and let's talk more about pressure.
Yeah, do it.
So different people define pressure in different ways. And this isn't the first time I've heard from entrepreneurs that they feel like they're their best under pressure. They feel like it's an entrepreneurial edge. What pressure does is it creates endorphins and it creates dopamine as you're going through it, and we need those things to motivate us. If we didn't have endorphins and if we didn't have dopamine, we wouldn't care about eating, we wouldn't care about procreating, we wouldn't care about all those things. So those things are good. What I would invite you to think about is, can you motivate yourself in a way that's loving to you? When you are under pressure, the pressure, the way that I'm thinking about it, right? Like the fight or flight, like that's when you think like, oh, I'm really moving, because that's when your adrenaline is moving. Your body creates low grade inflammation or high grade inflammation. And pressure and constantly being in that state of fight or flight in order to be like motivated and driven can actually cause dis-ease and disease. It can increase your cortisol. And although those things are good when you are in danger, human beings nor any animal is meant to stay in that constant state. It wears you down over time. So like think about a zebra, right? Like think about an open Sahara and they're grazing and they're just enjoying their life, right? And then a lion comes up and they go from grazing, maybe even procreating, we'll try and keep it PG here, to like running as fast as they can, right? Because the lion is there and they know that they perceive in their body that there's danger, like their life is in danger. I have this video, I'd love to share it with you, from Natural Geographic. Once the lion catches one of the herd, or whatever they call a zebra group, I'm going to call it a herd for now. Might be a different weird name that I can't remember from grade school. The other zebras stop running. And not only do they stop running, they're actually looking at the lion eating one of their herd. And you're like, oh my God, like if that was us, we'd be running for days. Human beings, we have something called imagination that animals don't. So we can imagine the future. We can worry about the past. We can be in other places than the present.
Mm.
The challenge with using pressure as your strategic advantage or your edge is that it can deteriorate your system if you stay stuck in it. If you can't turn it off like the zebra turns it off, right? Then you stay stuck in it. And then you're operating from a place of survival versus a place of thriving. And when you're in survival, you are thinking about things, what's called convergent thinking. So if you look at a pyramid, if you're watching, if you're not watching, I'm holding my hands up. I'm doing a TP, right? And at the top of the TP comes together. And that's convergent thinking, because when you are in danger, when you're under stress, you can only think of like, how do I survive? You don't have time to be creative and innovative and relax and think and connect and converse. You got to save yourself. And so you miss out on a lot of great opportunities for more peaceful, wonderful, creative, loving growth than if you are in what's called divergent thinking.
I love everything that you're talking about, but give us a chance to explore what you're talking about.
Okay, great.
Instead of giving us a full lesson, if you will. And I just want to share with, I just got a text from Sandy. His power went out. So that's why he's not with us anymore.
We were just talking about Florida. I hope
we
he's
were just
safe.
talking about Florida and storms and all these different things and power. And if you think about the surge of the power that took his internet connection out, so we want to make it conversational, right? So I love what you're talking about, and I'm just going to chime in, and then Jose can. I think that when you're right, when you're too much at a high pressure, there's no leeway. So I know that Jose does, and he can speak for himself, but I meditate every single day. So pressure is not something that I personally say I'm looking forward to, but I know how to delegate and I know how to work under pressure without a doubt. And if you ever see me in a pressured environment, people they keep coming to me. They go, "Why are you so calm?" Jose can tell you that. This past 2 weekends ago, we were at an event and one of the guys kept saying to me, "What's with you?" I'm like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Most people would be freaking out right now and you're like calm, you're relaxed." And I said, "Well, because guess what? You can only do what you can do. You can't, if you spill milk, I always say, let the cat lick it up." So for me, it's about relaxed under pressure, to be able to handle myself under pressure at all given times, because it's not worth for me losing it under pressure. So if there is pressure, I don't run from it. I'm in it. but I know how to deal with it. Jose.
Well, yeah, no, first of all, great points. And I really enjoyed what you were saying, Yvonne. I think it was very, very well put and very well structured, and it was clear what you said. And I love your points, Sifu, in terms of what you just said as well. For me, I guess to expand upon my initial statement of I love pressure, it not to be misinterpreted for I seek pressure and I'm after pressure, because pressure is going to happen whether I want it to or not, because there's the external and the internal pressure, right? So too many of us are suffering from internal pressure because we put ourselves in that position, right? External pressure is inevitable. That's going to come like the winds will blow and the weather will change, and life will life and things happen, right? What I'm saying by I love pressure because I perform really well and I excel under pressure. I just found the times where I've done some major milestone type things, it happened when there was pressure. And that's what I've noticed about myself is my results are amazing when there are the external pressures that come, because it forces me to tap deeper into the habits that I've created for my life and for my structure. So for me, yes, it's like having a 2x4 and putting a long 2x4, like a 12-foot 2x4, and putting cinder blocks in the middle. At some point, that bad boy is going to snap, right? It's not meant to handle that much pressure inevitably, like just anything, right? So for me, it's more so about the externals, deadlines, financials, expectations, goals, outcomes, those types of things, self-doubt, fear of judgment, perfectionism. These are all things that are internal that we put on ourselves. I think most pressure is really self-inflicted. And it has these crazy imaginary outcomes that are not necessarily there. So for me, it's more so I make sure that I don't live in pressure, because that's unhealthy. I agree 100%. But I also understand myself that I know I operate really well under pressure as well, because there's also that other side of the coin. Dr. Phil says it best. He says it doesn't matter how flat you make a pancake, it still has two sides.
And here we have Danny Z, also Danny Poland, who understands pressure better than most of us do, because the guy gets out of situations that are crazy, and he's performed in over 5,000 stages. And also Danny Z is going to be at our New York City Mastermind Experience in Tampa. He's a featured speaker.
Awesome.
So
I think it's
let
so great, Jose and Sifu, that you guys expanded on that. I think there's like a bit of feedback, but I have a mic, so I'm not quite sure what that's about. What I think is really important is that we don't shortcut your story, right? When a lot of people out there, and there's so much social media, right? Like you're saying, Jose, like even if you don't have any internal pressure, which I would argue most of us do, there's so much you're trying to keep up with outside of you. And people will hear snippets, and they'll hear somebody that they respect, like you guys, and they'll say, oh, pressure is good. And they'll think, oh, I got to go get pressure and I got to do these things. People are just taking the real version, all right? The 60-second version, and then they're applying it as their truth. They're applying it as their should. And what I'm saying is, don't should all over yourself. Don't trust anybody. Don't trust me. Listen, experiment. What works for you personally today? What works for you personally tomorrow? You don't have to should think you look like Jose or should think you look like me. Open up the mind to think about, okay, what's happening here? And Jose, I think it's so important, and love, Sifu, that you're meditating. It's so very important. We cannot control the things outside of us. With mastery, and if we want to use the word mastery of mindset, you actually can shape that internal pressure and you can reduce it, right? So that the things that you can't control outside of you don't dictate or impact the pressure gauge inside of you. And that's the beautiful part you guys began to share, that I think is where there's a lot of opportunity for people to practice, right? Because when the pressure goes up on the outside, they don't even understand why that pressure is going up on the inside, nor how can they bring it back down. so they can be peaceful even when there's chaos around them. I want them not to feel that pressure on the inside. So, Jose, when you were talking about pressure, you're saying, I have a gift. I know I can't control the things outside of me, and I don't let the things outside of me control the inside of me. Right? Same with you, Sifu. So, when we say that we operate good under pressure, I love what you said, Jose. You don't want to welcome it. It just is what it is. What you want to do is you want to keep what the pressure that feels loving to you, that's actually useful, right? In the moment, on the inside where you want it to be.
Yeah.
If you ever use a crock pot, you know that's all pressure, right? So, but you get some delicious things out of it. So think about that. We can use pressure in a positive way. Pressure doesn't always have to be negative, but like everybody's talking about here, it can't be constant because something will break, something will burst, like that 2x4. Like when you do power washing, right? You need pressure because if you use a hose just to try to wash even your house or your fence or your sidewalk, it does not work. So you do need that pressure. But if you constantly keep that pressure going in one particular spot, it's going to start breaking into the concrete or your house siding or your fence. So you need to move it around so the pressure works best when it's in motion. That's my thoughts.
I would like to invite us to use the word energy instead of pressure. Because there's so many people that understand pressure in a specific way that wouldn't that be interesting, like to get them to use a word that they don't normally use so that their mind isn't conditioned with the definition of what they're used to.
We have one major flaw in that, unfortunately, Yvonne, and that is the title of today's talk is Mindset Under Pressure. We'd have to change the entire thing now. I'm just kidding. No,
But you're right.
listen.
It's about flipping the switch, Jose and Yvonne. It's how do we flip the switch?
You're inviting us to flip the switch. I like that. It's a way to say that. So in terms of the topic, again, what we're talking about here, for me, how I find peace in my day-to-day is this, right? Which, Sifu, you're very aware. In my morning routine and my evening routine, I'm all about the bookends of my day, right? I start my day a certain way. I end my day a certain way. For the most part, Monday through Friday, I would say, unless I'm traveling or unless I didn't sleep like last night because my son was up every other hour, literally. So he's like crying all night. But generally speaking, I have a stringent morning routine and a stringent evening routine that feeds the mind, body, spirit, all the things, right? All the different areas of life that are required to be able to excel and fire on all cylinders. Now, it's never going to be perfect, but we definitely strive towards being at peace internal, because internal peace is important in order to show up in the chaotic world that's around us and all the uncontrollables around us, right? So peace for me is the idea of mastering the controllables, right? There are too many things outside of our control that we can't control. And when we start to try to control the things we can't control, we lose our peace and we lose our sanity. And then we start to go into down this slippery slope of automatic negative thoughts and poor behaviors and reverting back to old habits and you name it, right? So for me, important questions to consider. What can I control right now? So in the situation where I am right now, what can I control? What is in my control? What is not in my control? What can wait? What does it have to happen right now? Right? Because we always think that everything has to be now. Does this have to be right now? Can it wait? Right?
Mm-hmm.
And am I making this situation bigger than it needs to be? Am I blowing it out of proportion? Everything has a proportion to it. Is it really this big and I'm making it this big? So I think it's just a matter of, I said, this is just one moving part of what we're talking about, is the idea of having internal peace, knowing that we don't have to figure it all out. We don't have to control everything. Some things just are going to happen. And I think that's important to note.
I also want to note that, and I love that you talked about controlling things, right? We can't control another person. We can reprimand the person. We can try to tell them what to do, but people are still people. They're going to do what they're going to do. Try to tell a child to sit still. Try it. Jose, try telling your kids to sit still. They will for a little bit, but it's not going to last. So it's about the most important person we need to control is us, right? So it's when we flip the switch on the pressure, when we flip the switch on anything we're doing, is what are we using to flip that switch? How do we control us to be able to go from somebody yelling at us to being calm? How do we go from somebody reprimanding us to saying, hey, you know what? I have to own it. They're right. So it's all about flipping a switch. And we all have that internal switch that we need to learn to flip at the right time, right? If we're going to live life the way we're supposed to live life, we need to understand every situation is different and we can not always handle it the same way we did yesterday. So this is why every day I say I'm getting better every day, because I intentionally need to do so. I want to be better than I was yesterday. So I flip the switch every morning. How can I change to be a better person, to be a better father, a better partner, a better educator? So every day I flip that switch.
I'm big on words these days. So as a
Do that.
recovering control freak, right? And a recovering perfectionist, we're talking about peace. And I love that you guys are honing in on, like, how do you keep your peace? I think that's a question for all your listeners to think about. Like, what feels peaceful to me? What feels loving to me? What I would also invite us to do is to understand that we actually can't control anything.
That's not true. I'm going to say we can control our actions.
We can be the leader of our
of
actions.
ourselves.
I would invite you not to try and control yourself.
I can't help it.
When you try and control yourself, you begin to contain yourself, or you begin to should all over yourself. It's a mind thing. It's the word. Control means I need to restrict, right? I don't want Sifu to be restricted. I don't want Jose to stop his flow, right? I want us to think of energy again and think of a river, and think of yourself as the river. I don't want to dam you up. I don't want to control you. I want you to feel in flow, naturally, effortlessly, powerfully. And sometimes you flow fast and sometimes you flow slow. But you don't have to control yourself. I want you to connect to yourself. So if we go to energy and you're talking about how do you flip that switch, if you're listening and you're like, these are all just words, how do I make this real today? Think of Einstein's equation, energy equals mc squared. I changed a little bit. To get the energy that you want, to be in that flow that you want, to be in your peaceful power, mindful thinking, raise the power of compassion and curiosity. So compassion, knowing that that mind of yours, the one that goes on automatic pilot, unless you've done a lot of discovery and upgrade, is probably about 7 to 10 years old. And if somebody's pissing you off, it's not about you. It's the 7 to 10-year-old in them automatically operating in some way based upon what it's perceiving around it. So have compassion for yourself when there's storms outside of you or inside of you, and see yourself as that young child, and then get curious. Like you were saying earlier, Jose, what are my patterns? Why did I used to go into those? How do I stay in ones that are loving to me? Why is this triggering me? Why does this bother me? I don't want you to control yourself. I want you to connect and understand yourself so that you can flow in your peaceful power. So again, I'm hung up on words today, but I think that words have meaning, because guess what? That mind of yours only knows the words you give it and the images you make it.
I'm gonna jump on that and say that I control my mind, or I control myself through flow, because I'm on a mission to help as many people as I possibly can. Number one is me. And so if I can control my morning, just like Jose did in his book, right? He does it beautifully, and he controls his evening. But there's things that come in the way that will affect it, like his son waking up every hour. So we can do our best to control it, but I say control it with flow. So we don't always have to agree in the words that we use, but in the mindset for ourselves. No one can control my mind. No one. But I can't even control my own thoughts. They're going to pop into my head, but I can control which ones I allow to speak to me. So when you talk about energy, I want to share something with everybody. Take a look at this and this. Tell me if this doesn't bring up some energy for you. Let me grab that 1 second and take a look.
The city never sleeps, and neither do the dreamers who build its pulse. From every corner of the globe they come. Visionaries, creators, leaders, each carrying a spark ready to ignite the world. This is not an event. It's a revolution of rhythm and reason. A symphony of minds. A movement of momentum. Sifu Rafael, Lancelot, Jose Escobar. Together they set the stage for brilliance. This is the NYC experience. Mastermind, light up the city. They coming from the east, coming from the west. Knowledge on deck, put the truth to the test. Leaders in motion, hearts in sync, dropping wisdom so deep it'll make you think. They bring stories, sweat and flame, different faces, one shared name. Elevation, that's the sound. NYC experience mastermind, where purpose is found.
I got to tell you, that has energy for me every time I hear it. Every single time. It's a song that never gets old with me because we're bringing that energy that you're talking about, Yvonne. Jose, what's the energy like for New York City Mastermind Experience?
Well, there's all kinds of energy. Some are up here, some are down here, some are positive, some are negative, some are crooked, jagged edges, some are straight lines. I think it depends on the room you're in and the people you're around. I can tell you there is nothing like the NYC experience energy. It's amazing leaders, entrepreneurs coming together to share, to add value to each other, to network, to learn, to grow, the disposition to create global impact. When you're around people like that, the energy magnifies. Every individual energy in the room just turns into this big, like, aura. Like anybody, like, I don't know if you noticed, but people were leaning into what we were doing in NYC by the Rockefeller Center. Like, what are you guys doing? What is going on here? Because the energy was unreal, right? So I think that's really cool. I love being around positive people, impact players, titans of industry, people that are going places and having a positive outlook on life. Because again, the books you read, right? The environments that you're in, the people that you hang around, where you spend your money, where we are 5 years from now is contingent upon a lot of those things.
Absolutely.
But since we're talking about going back to what we were talking about right before we went to that commercial break, if that's even a commercial, just kidding. I would say that as we were talking about flipping the switch, right? I think a lot of the flipping the switch pieces, right, is I guess part of my secret sauce. Shout out to Dr. Albert T. Reed. Part of my secret sauce of flipping a switch in my mind is the language that I use, right? The inner voice of what we say to ourselves. A lot of times under pressure, under tough situations, unforeseen circumstances, we tend to tap into the ants in our mind, and we tend to start saying the old tapes that are not true. You know, the things that have hurt us over time, the self-fulfilling prophecy of negativity, which is not what we necessarily want to talk about. So I think it's important to replace the reactionary language that we use with, that's why for me, affirmations are huge. I've been doing affirmations for many years. A lot of the things that I was affirming to myself in my morning routine and the evening routine ended up becoming a reality. over many years. Obviously, it takes time, right? But we got to brainwash. We got to flush out certain thoughts in our mind and replace them with the opposite thing that we want. So, for example, I can't handle this. This is too much, is one thought. Or I've handled worse and I'm still standing. There's more in my tank. This is no big deal. So I think flipping the switch has a lot to do with the internal dialogue that goes on in our mind. What we say to ourselves. We talk to ourselves more than anybody else. And unfortunately, most of what we say to ourselves is not the right thing. It's not positive. And then when you are hanging around the wrong people and they pour into you and they're saying their nonsense out loud, that also affects you. And then if you're listening to the wrong music, and then you're hanging out with the people in your environment and at home, and then you're in the workplace serving your coffee and people are talking negative crap that you don't want to hear. And then you go in a cigar lounge and you're hanging out with a bunch of guys that are miserable and talking about their drama in their lives. And I can go on. And I'm not saying all cigar lounges are like that, so don't get me wrong. But my point is that it's we have to be aware. We got to be self-aware of what we're saying to ourselves, who's around us, what we're accepting as truth, and ultimately protecting our mind. I think the mind is where it all begins in the self-dialogue, because the dialogue turns into our own words, and our words become our actions, and our actions become our habits over time. And yeah, as we all know, habits determine your destiny, right? Your character and your destiny, right? So there's a quote out there that says something along those lines, but you get my drift. So I think it's just important to flip the switch. You got to be careful about what you're saying. And I think you can flip a switch like this because I guess where the remote is. The remote's in your hand, not anybody else's.
See, for your
Sorry about that. I said I love the remote is in your hands, because you're right. We have a choice from being like angry to, you know what? It's not worth it. Let me just enjoy life. What would you do if you knew you were going to die today at 5:00? Poof. How would you handle the last couple of hours? Would you be angry? Or would you go calling everybody you loved, or everybody, maybe even apologizing? So how do we spend our time? Do we spend it in anger, or do we spend it in peace and thinking about every minute counts? I love that show, The Bear, where it's a chef show, and they have it big on their kitchen, and it says every second counts. But it's not just when you're cooking food, it's your life, because whether you know it or not, we're being cooked, right? We're being cooked. So sometimes we have to raise the temperature, sometimes we have to simmer.
If people are wondering, okay, I hear you guys. I know it. I can't make the change. I can't make it happen. Well, first, there's that C word, right? I want you to give yourself compassion and to know that it's the Sifu he wasn't born this way. Jose he didn't automatically happen all of a sudden just like this. It's like Sifu said, it's through that cooking, if you want to call it, process. It's the becoming, it's the unfolding, it's the practice. So if you're not quite there yet, it's okay. Just one of the things that can help you stay out of that fight or flight so that your internal gauge doesn't go up when the external gauge is going up is your breath. Your breath is what helps calm your vagus nerve, and your vagus nerve is what is the switch for your sympathetic versus your parasympathetic in your autonomic nervous system. So if you exhale for just slightly longer than you inhale, or if you hum, not singing, vibrating, just it activates your vagus nerve so that you for a minute can find that peace, come out of that automatic switch, right? Physically get switched back to where you can then choose. How do you stay in your flow? How do you stay in your peace? And you guys are all into business, right? So check the deal. Check the real deal. Your subconscious mind believes that you being not peaceful on the inside is useful. It's better than the alternative it thinks. Check the real deal. When you are stressed and feeling anxious under pressure, does that make you smarter? Does that make you more collaborative? If it doesn't, if it's not useful to you, then you're smart. You know that you can choose something else. So use the one tool that your creator gave you that's also automatic, and that's your breath, to flip the switch so that your body can come down, so that that mindset that you want, that we're talking about, can turn on. And just practice.
So with that saying, I'm going to flip another switch, and I want you to take a look at this here. Take a look.
Hi, my name is Jose Escobar, and I'm the founder and CEO of the Connected Leaders Academy. We're a growing tribe, a community of entrepreneurs all over the world, globally, all across the country, high performers, titans of industry. If you're an entrepreneur and you're looking to grow personally and professionally, scale your influence, develop your skill sets, move the needle in your business, more clients, more money, more profit, the bottom line, and of course, grow your circle and your network like never before, this is where you want to be. Join the Connected Leaders Academy today. We are scaling massively. We want to welcome you in. Check me out on Instagram and on Facebook, the @ JAESCO25. We look forward to having you join us. Take care.
I got to tell you, the Connected Leaders Academy is such a game changer. It has been for me. I've made so many collaborations, met so many incredible people from all over the world. So yes, Jose, join Jose. He's got a great, great program called the Connected Leaders Academy. And it's, if you haven't joined, my question to you is why? Just why? There you go. I'm leaving that.
Sifu, I'm going to piggyback off that for 10 seconds and then change the subject. Two things I want to say to that. Number one, I remember like it was yesterday when I first pitched to you joining the CLA. You were like, I don't know if I need that. I don't know. You're like, I'm already well connected. I'm not so sure. And then you joined, and here we are. Now you're a testimonial, and I love it. Right? I'm just going to rub that in every single time. I'm just kidding. But on another note, I will say if anybody's out there and you have a business and you want to get on more podcasts, more stages, speaking engagements, referral partners, collaborations, joint ventures, more clients, more revenue, lifelong friends in business, reach out to me. Check out connectedleadersacademy.com. It's that simple, and you can schedule a call. We can talk about it. It may or may not be a good fit, but there's that. So going back to what we were talking about, right? I'd like to kind of take it in a slightly different direction, yet kind of on the same topic here, of course. And that is the idea of compromise, right? As we're navigating these waters of difficulty and maintaining peace and the pressure piece we talked about earlier and all the things that we were talking about, right? I think that the hard times that we deal with are what actually tests our values way before it tests our skills. Have you guys noticed that? Our values come into play because at that point it could be like, okay, should I quit? Should I compromise my values? Should I take a shortcut? It tends to go towards that first before it goes to like, what skill sets do I have to overcome this and to see it through and to make it happen? And I have found, at least in my life and many people that I've talked to over the years, and coaches and mentors too, that regret usually doesn't come from failing. It comes from folding in the process. So that's a question I'd like to ask, I guess, the panel here, both of you. And if you're watching this, live or the replay, we want to hear your comments in the chat or in the comments. The question is, who are you when it's inconvenient? What do you do when it gets too hard? Do we fold? Are we willing to fail and keep pressing forward without compromising our values? What does that look like, and how do you kind of analyze that? So I guess Yvonne, will start with you and then go to Sifu.
It's interesting and kind of serendipitous that you bring this up. So I'm working with I have a tribe too. It's called Limitless Use, my company, and we get together. And I love that you're talking about core values. If you ask somebody what their core values are, even if they could answer you quickly, they're quite often ones that are conditioned. They're ones that have been given to them either by their family or their culture or their religious belief or what have you. And they might not be bad, but they have been conditioned. And so what we've been working on, and I invite listeners to do the same, is to look at what are your core values. And then ask yourself, why do they matter? And if you find, and I love that you said this earlier, Jose, if you find that there's fear, judgment, self-pity, or doubt, or any kind of shoulding at all in the why your core value matters, I invite you to go deeper. Because when it is inconvenient, how people first behave is based upon their conditioning. Even if core values are engaged, it's based upon what they've conditioned to believe that core value means that they should or should not do. There's this moralistic thinking. And what I would invite you, I'm not saying that it's right or wrong. I'm just saying it might not be completely aligned to your authentic soul. And your authentic soul is going to be your best self. And so look at those core values and ask yourself, why is that my core value? Where did it come from? Why does it matter to me? And then see what that says. And you might need to then say, well, why does that matter to me? And if anything is coming from a judgmental energy, from a fear energy, know that perhaps there's an opportunity to refine your core values so that it is clearer and that you're tapping into the core power of who you are when it really matters.
Yes, absolutely. I love that. And for me, when you ask the question, Jose, who am I? I'm a son of God. I'm a person who believes what I believe, whether you wake me up at 2 in the morning, middle of the afternoon, you question me, I am the same person every minute of the day. I don't change. I'm not a people pleaser. And I think people who are people pleasers don't have core values because their core values keep changing with whom they're pleasing. That's not me. That will never be me. I need to first take care of me so that I can help more people. So wherever I am, that's who I am. That's who's with me. And Jose, earlier you talked about that we talk to ourselves so often, and we should talk to ourselves, and we should have a communication with ourselves in a deep, deep level. And that's where your meditation comes in. That's where your prayer comes in. That's where your reading comes in. So you can keep expanding who you are as a person. So my core values stem from my beliefs that come from a child who has never learned how to quit, and I will never, ever quit. And Gabby, when you said you're not ready to die, thank you for that, because neither am I. But can we face death with saying, I've lived the life I was meant to live? I can. And if I was to die today, I would be very peaceful. I don't want to die today, but so therefore I keep building my core values on the habits that I have and I've implemented into my lifestyle day in, day out. The first thing I do when I wake up in the morning, and it doesn't matter the time, a lot of times it's at 3:19 a.m. And the first thing I do is I go into prayer and I thank God for the gifts He's given me. And then I ask for permission to allow the gifts that I have been that I have earned or have been given to me to be shared. And that's my core values. It's not always about me. It starts with me, but it's always about how can I help. And that's why my mission is to help as many people as I possibly can. And if you look back at my whole life, you will see that I've been doing that from a young child. Every chance I've gotten, I've looked at how can I help somebody. And so that's who I am, Jose. And I know you know that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Love that response. Very thorough and diligent. In terms of going back to a thought, I guess where we started when I got on the call, I think I got on like 2 minutes late, but we were talking about the idea of the badge of honor, that a lot of entrepreneurs and leaders, busy professionals, we all have this like badge of honor of like busyness is a good thing. When somebody says, "How are you?" "Oh, I'm busy." And it's like, you know how great that is. I'm so busy. I'm busier than you, which means I'm probably more successful than you because I'm busier than you are, right? It's almost like that's what they're saying without saying it, right? And I can't tell you, out of like maybe 10 people I talk to, 7 will say, "Oh, busy, busy, busy." First thing that comes out of them, I'm just very busy. Like, okay, well, busy is busy, productive is productive. There's different categories there, right? And productivity doesn't have to mean time spent in something. It could mean systems and structure and SOPs and habits and delegation and you name it, right? Buying back your time, Dan Martell, right? So it doesn't have to mean busy all the time per se. So, and we were talking the same thing with the whole idea of pressure. Like I work best under pressure. Like it does. So, and you were saying that, Yvonne, that's not necessarily a healthy thing. Is to feel like you're performing best under pressure. So going back to that original topic of what we were talking about earlier, I think it's just an interesting idea to note that the endless grind, which is what I have found myself in for the last 4 years, is nice in a way where I've gotten results from it. And in the first 2 years, it was about the endless grind. I'm always grinding. And then I realized in the last 2 years, because I've only been in business for 4 years, I have an extensive corporate background, but in business, 4 years, has been more about strategic recovery. So, Yvonne, I completely agree on a lot of what you said when it comes to making sure that we're recalibrating, right? And we're making sure that we are where we need to be on an emotional, spiritual, physical level, and many other levels, right? And I consider myself to be a high performer, which is my book about high performance here, is that high performance and high performers schedule recovery time. Right, just like we schedule meetings and those types of things, we schedule white space to fill ourselves back up. That's why I have a morning routine and an evening routine, because before I pour into anybody, I pour into me first, right? I pour into myself spiritually, intellectually, physically, all of the E's out there, right? I do that first, because you can't pour out of an empty cup. You can't give what you don't have. So I got to make sure that, self-care, self-love, I got to pour into me first and recalibrate and put it on the calendar. And I have 3 gaps of white space throughout my day, Monday through Friday at least. And those times I can do whatever the heck I want to do with that time. And sometimes, guess what? I might take a power nap. I might go and put my feet up and watch a Netflix show like Married at First Sight, guilty pleasure.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
I might do something, whatever the heck I want to do, because we have to find the time and we have to schedule it, right? So I guess in closing with my thought is making that time to slow down, to speed up, if you will, right? Doesn't mean you lose strength and you lose resilience and you lose your high performance. No, it's you lose strength by ignoring the limits that you have. Right? Because if you ignore the limits that you have, that's when people break. That's when people fold. That's when people get burned out. That's when people throw in the towel. That's when they start to go down this road of like, hey, you know what? Maybe this isn't for me. So I think it is important. There's like this balance of being able to say, hey, I'm a high performer. I can execute under pressure. I can max out more in my 3-hour morning routine than most people can do in a week. Like there's something to be said about all these things and being busy and productive, and that's awesome. But on the other side of that, we have to be very self-aware that you do have to recalibrate and slow down the speed up and pour into yourself and be aware that we do have limits, and that's a strength, not a negative thing.
I agree 1,000%. You can't cut down a tree using the same axe without sharpening it. So you have to sharpen your axe. Let me share one more video with you guys. Take a look. You followed the rules, tried the restrictions, counted the carbs, the steps, and the failures. You're not lazy. You're exhausted from doing it all without real change. What if the problem isn't you, but the plan? Sifu's Mind Body Method is a 90-day transformation built on 7 unshakable pillars: mindset, movement, nutrition, hydration, fasting, journaling, and faith. This isn't another shortcut. It's your structure, your strength, your reset. You don't need harder, you need better. Ready to begin? Start today. And the other pillar I didn't talk about there is sleep. That's how you recharge.
I really love this. Is like the part I wish you would have started with if somebody didn't stick to the end, Jose. Like the words you shared at the end are the most important for folks to hear, because they hear that other part all the time from everybody else. They hear the part that doesn't encourage rest, that doesn't encourage restoration, that doesn't encourage self-love or even guilty pleasures. So that is amazing. If you're somebody listening and you're like, I don't even know, there's just too much to learn, there's too much to do, I don't know how I am with me or how I am with other people. We developed a free quiz. It's 3 minutes, 12 questions. unlocklimitlessyou.com/quiz. It asks some questions that will help you start to see your way of being with yourself and with others. And then make sure we don't end up in your junk mail. There's some tips and tricks based upon like how you're answering on what you can be invited, so that, like, as Jose talks about knowing his limits as a strength, about making white space, you can see where there's an opportunity to make white space that's loving to you. So that's just something I wanted to make sure that folks knew that they had for free. It is not selfish to love yourself and to put self-health first. It's actually selfish not to, because then you're not giving your best self. So I hope that today has inspired you to think about what is loving to me, so that I can be my best self. And like Jose, like you said, I can fill my cup and then I give from my overflow, which is a lot better than giving from something that's close to empty.
It's very interesting that you came up. I was about to say, Yvonne, tell us what somebody can expect. So your website is going across the bottom. That's actually the one that somebody can have a call with you. Tell us about that in 30 seconds.
Well, sure. So a lot of people think they have to do it on their own, or they just like are looking at books and they're looking at all the websites, and then they feel overwhelmed, and then they feel like they're not enough because nobody can possibly do everything. So I invite people to take the self-love quiz to see like where perhaps their subconscious mind has been limiting them. And then they can set up a free discovery call where I can just open the aperture, shine a little bit more light on perhaps where there's opportunities for you to unlock your limitless self. So your capabilities, your passion, so that you have greater joy and success, whatever that actually looks like to you in your life.
Love it. Love it. Jose, would you mind telling us, and I'm going to put your website going across, what somebody can expect when they connect with you? So you have your website and your email.
Yeah, so connectedleadersacademy.com has a very brief 7 to 8 minute video in terms of what our community is about. Again, we're a global tribe of some of the most successful entrepreneurs from all over. When I say all over, I mean 574 members. We are in all 50 states across the entire US, and we're in 36 international countries, growing every day to the tune of 1 new member per day. And get this, it is 90% referral based. You know what that means? That means the people that are referring me to other people are getting 2 things that anybody pays for: value and ROI. So if you have a business and you're looking to grow and scale to another level and do some cool things in some cool ways, with some amazing people, then check out my website, schedule a virtual coffee with me, and we'll see what comes of it.
Love it. Love it. And I'm Sifu Raphael. What can I say? I just love helping. One of the things, as a professional speaker, and Jose is a professional speaker as well, if you want to get us on your stages, reach out. We will come and inspire your audiences, not just with selling, because we don't sell from the stage, we impact. And that's why I'm connected with Jose. That's why I'm part of Connected Leaders Academy. And our next event is happening in Tampa. So reach out, sifuraphael.com. And I got to tell you, if we're not in your city, watch out, because we're coming to your city and we may be inspiring people in your local neighborhoods. Because for us, it's the impact that we make on a daily basis through all that we do. So thank you, everybody. I want to wish everybody an incredible rest of your Friday. This is our last show for the year, Jose. Can you believe it? We're wrapping it up. Incredible times. Next year, 2026, I got to tell you, it's going to be an even year. It's going to be even better than this one. Everybody, get ready. The rocket train is coming. Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.